everybody, Devon Miller here, and welcome to another video in my YouTube series about my guitar rig. And today we're going to continue taking the in-depth look at the Mesa Boogie Triaxis by checking out the Lead 1 green mode. Of course, as in the previous two videos about the Triaxis, I do have all of the effects bypassed on my guitar rig, so what you are hearing in this video is strictly the Mesa Boogie Triaxis, the power amp, and the speaker cabinet.
Power's back! That little droid did it! Bypassed the main power drive. Deflector shield's up at maximum.
So the Lead 1 green mode is taken directly from the Overdrive channel of the Mesa Boogie Mark 1 guitar amplifier. This is classic blues overdrive in the vein of the old Fender Blackface amplifiers. In the manual, they refer to this type of circuit as a pre-tone control gain circuit, which basically means that the equalizer controls come after the gain control.
In Japan, men come first and women come second.
Or sometimes not at all.
So let's see how each of the controls affect the sound in this mode. In the Lead 1 green mode, the signal actually starts at the Lead 1 drive control. Then it goes to the gain control before continuing on to the tone controls, the master, etc. This was done to mimic the controls of the Mesa Boogie Mark 1 amplifier. So in order to get the type of overdrive sound you want, you have to have the right balance between the gain and the Lead 1 drive. Gain set higher than the Lead 1 drive will give you a warmer, more smooth and even overdrive sound. Gain set lower than the Lead 1 drive will give you a brighter, more hollow overdrive saturation, but sometimes is more desirable when you're trying to cut through a full band mix.
Frank, it's the truth.
It's true what they say, cops and women don't mix. It's like eating a spoonful of Drano. Sure, it'll clean you out, but it'll leave you hollow inside. Here, you can take this back.
Whose is that?
Doesn't matter.
Hey, watch it!
Take care of yourself, baby.
The treble and the middle controls also can affect how much gain and saturation you get in this mode. The manual recommends setting both of these controls high for kind of a maxed gain sound. Also, setting the middle control to 10 and the treble and the bass controls to 0 can give you a very focused saturation.
I'm going to be honest with you. I hate this place, this zoo, this prison, this reality, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it any longer. It's the smell. If there is such a thing. I feel saturated by it.
Now, I typically don't put the bass control any higher than 5 in this mode, simply because if you get any higher than 5, the bass frequencies just get way too thick and flubby.
You play an instrument?
Yeah. Can't believe I've never told you I play bass.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I slap the bass big time.
What is that? You sound like a leprechaun.
No,
What is
that's a
that?
reggae guy. I just did reggae.
Doesn't sound...
Doesn't sound reggae?
No.
Slap the bass.
No.
How does it?
It's like big time. Big time. Big time.
Big time. Slap the bass, big time. Slap the bass. That sounded like Borat.
Yeah.
Slap the bass, big time.
That's better. That's better.
The lead 2 drive has no function in this mode, so we'll skip over that for now. Next we come to the master. Once again, this controls the volume of the patch, so pretty self-explanatory. Lower settings, the volume is quieter. And at higher settings, the volume is louder.
For the pinheads.
Presence, once again, controls the amount of pick attack that you have. At lower settings, the pick attack is more subtle. And at higher settings, the pick attack is much more pronounced.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
You're putting me on.
No, it's pronounced Frankenstein.
Do you also say Froderick?
No, Frederick.
Well, why isn't it Froderick Frankenstein?
It isn't. It's Frederick Frankenstein.
I see.
You must be Igor.
No, it's pronounced Igor.
But they told me it was Igor.
Well, they were wrong then, weren't they?
And finally, we come to the dynamic voice. Now, I typically don't use the dynamic voice in this mode, or if I do, I use it at a very low setting, because higher settings on the dynamic voice, the bass frequencies just get way too out of control in this mode.
All right, now we're gonna do it 50 laps my way, all right? Now, when you were racing Indy cars out west, the tires were twice as wide and the car weighed half as much. Now your car weighs twice as much and the tires are half as wide and you're burning them up, all right? Now what you do, when you burn them up, they melt. When they melt, they get greasy and you slip and slide and you're out of control. All right? Hook, let's go.
So the lead 1 green mode comes with one pre-programmed factory preset for this mode, and it is a kind of a darker blues sound. So the gain is set to 8 in this preset, so really driving those tubes into overdrive. Treble is set to 6, so kind of boosting the treble frequencies a little bit, trying to brighten it up a little. Middle is set to 4, so kind of scooping out the mid-range frequencies a little bit. With this higher gain setting, we're already getting a little more prominence in the mid-range frequencies. So they're bringing the middle control down a little bit to kind of scoop that out some. Bass is set to 3, so keeping it low, keeping it on the thinner side so those bass frequencies don't get too thick and flubby. Lead 1 drive is at a 4.5, so higher gain setting and lower lead 1 drive setting gives us a warmer and smoother overdrive sound. Master is at a 5, so average output volume. Presence is set to 3, so backing off on that pick attack, trying to keep it a little more subtle, keep the sound a little more warm. And the dynamic voice is set to 0.
On the way to Delhi, you will stop at Bangkok.
Bangkok is not on the way to Delhi.
You will go to Bangkok Palace.
I thought the palace had been deserted since...
No. Now there is a new Maharaja. And again, the palace has the power of the dark light.
What has happened here?
The evil start in Bangkok, then like monsoon, it moves darkness over whole country, over whole country.
So I would use the lead 1 green mode for 3 main sounds. The first and main way is for kind of a straight-ahead blues sound that I would use on the song Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. Or the song Your Love by The Outfield. So as you can see, I've got the gain set to 5.5, so not driving the tubes very hard. I don't want a lot of overdrive on this sound, just a little bit. Treble I've got set to 9, really trying to brighten up the sound, bring those high frequencies in to help get the separation of the individual notes. Middle I've got set to 6, so boosting the middle frequencies a little bit to try to help push some of that overdrive, but not too much. Bass I've got set to 3, so backing off on those bass frequencies, trying to keep it on the thinner side so that they don't get too out of control. Lead 1 drive is set to 4, so lead 1 drive is lower than the gain, but not by much, so still kind of in that warmer, smoother overdrive sound, but not exaggerating it too much. Lead 2 drive is at 0, so it's off, has no function in this mode. Master is set to 5, so average output volume. Presence I've got set to 8, really trying to bring out that pick attack and help with the separation of the notes on those higher frequencies. And dynamic voice I have set to 0.
Check it out! Tonight only from Chicago, the Blues Brothers Rhythm and Blues Review. One night only, the fabulous
Blues Brothers, show band, and review. You on the motorcycle. You 2 girls. Tell your friends. Free parking. Free parking. $2 cover charge only, folks. That's a lot of entertainment. $2. Or $2.
So the second way that I would use the lead 1 green mode is for the main rhythm and lead sound of the song I'm the Only One by Melissa Etheridge. So as you can see, I've got the gain set to 6. So, pushing the tubes a little bit more than the previous sound that we just looked at. I wanted this sound to be a little bit more aggressive than the previous sound, especially when you get into the guitar solo. Treble I've got set to 7, so a little bit darker than the previous sound. Middle I've got set to 5, so not pushing the mid-range at all, but not scooping it out either. Bass I've got set to 2, so really backing off on those bass frequencies, trying to keep it a little on the thinner side. Lead 1 drive I've got set to 4, so once again, gain is set higher than the lead 1 drive, so we're getting a smoother, more even overdrive saturation. Lead 2 drive is set to 0. It has no function in this mode. Master is set to 5. So average output volume. Presence I've got set to 8. So really trying to help bring out that pick attack and again give that more aggressive sound. And dynamic voice I've got set to 0.
We've sent out patrols. We already located the starship in the swamp. It won't be long, my lord.
This is an unexpected move for her. It's too aggressive. Lord Moore, be mindful. Let them make the first move.
Yes, my master.
And the final way that I would use this sound is for the main rhythm sound in the song Magic Man by Heart. So as you can see, I've got the gain set to 5, so not really pushing those tubes into overdrive too much, trying to keep it a little bit on the cleaner side. Treble I've got set to 10, really boosting those treble frequencies, trying to brighten the sound up as much as possible, get the distinction in those notes, especially when I'm doing the palm muting. I don't want the sound to get too woofy. Middle I've got set to 5, so not really boosting the mid-range frequencies, but not scooping them out either. Just trying to keep them nice and smooth. Bass I've got set to 0, taking all of the bass out of this sound whatsoever. Again, I don't want those low-end frequencies to get too flubby, especially with that palm muting. Lead 1 drive I've actually got set at a 3.5. So again, backing off on that lead 1 drive. This sound on the record is it's almost a clean sound. It's just got a little bit of overdrive on there. So again, I don't want it to be too dirty. Just a little bit of hair on there. Lead 2 drive is set to 0. It has no function in this mode. Master I've got set to 5, so again, average output volume. Presence I've got set to 10, so once again, trying to bring the maximum amount of pick attack, especially with all that palm muting, so that I want some pick scrape in there on those percussive parts. And dynamic voice, I actually have set to 1. Now I know, bringing in the dynamic voice is going to bring in some low-end frequencies, but it's also going to boost the treble frequencies as well. I've tried this sound with the dynamic voice set all the way to 0, and it's kind of dead sounding. You put a little bit of dynamic voice on this sound, and all of a sudden it just comes to life.
Look, it's moving. It's alive. It's alive. It's moving.
So that pretty much does it for the lead 1 green mode of the Triaxis. Please, as always, throw a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let me know what you're thinking about this video series. And next time we will take a look at the lead 1 yellow mode. So until next time, goodbye for now, and I will see you in the next video.